What's going on, guys? This is Martyrs Brigade 99 coming to you once again with another session of Dark Souls PvP. Alright guys, we're back at it in the pit. And first and foremost, I'd like to give a shout out to good old Enraged Wolf. He's one of the guys that like to participate in some of the Twitch streams. You know, he's kind of in the fight clubs. He also participates in some of the tournaments. And he frequents a lot of those PvP communities. Right, so if you guys ever want to meet up with good old Enraged Wolf, try to catch up with him with some good old 1v1s, just go ahead and visit the Twitch. Right, if you have, as I've said in the past, you know, if you guys want to kind of brush up on your PvP and, you know, just kind of formulate some good Dark Souls relationships, you know, you can just go ahead and meet up with a lot of these guys, because most, you know, I would say like 95% of them are pretty friendly. Right, and they love competition. So, you know, if some of you guys ever want to get up with some fight clubs, just go ahead and visit twitch.tv. Search for Dark Souls in the search browser, and more than likely you'll find, as advertised, fight clubs and tournaments. Alright, so enough about that. Let's get on down to business. So, pretty sure by now I don't have to tell you guys that this is my strength build. Level 125 at the time, and actually the final product ended up being 130, right, because I ended up doing a series of matches with good old Hell Servant, for which he was 130, so I just decided to bring this character up to 130. Now, will I upgrade the levels anymore? No, I won't. Right, it's really my intention to stay at 130. Because, I mean, for the most part, this build is for forest hunting, you know, for which 130 is great. And, you know, a lot of the guys that are PvP, for the most part, they are somewhere between 120 and 130 anyway. The vast majority of them being somewhere around 125. Right, so, as I've mentioned in the past, all of my builds are either 125, 130, or somewhere in between. Alright, now, I love doing arranged 1v1 matches, mainly because I think they offer great opportunities for me to experiment with various weapons. If you guys notice, I'm really going to switch it up a lot. Right, I'm going to go from the Black Knight Halberd to the you know, Zweihander, to the Mace, as you guys can obviously see. Man Serpent Greatsword, you know, large club, great club, and, you know, a wide range of other strength weapons. And I think when you do these type of arranged matches, it allows for different weapons to be showcased, right? Showcased in such a way that will kind of give some guys like, wow, you know, I didn't really realize that that weapon was good. I didn't realize it was that, you know, viable in PvP. And I think that's a good thing. To the extent that you guys are relatively new to the channel, one thing that we like to do in the brigade is kind of stay away from the typical katana, you know, Darkwood Grain Ring builds. Now, and when I say the brigade, I'm talking me myself, right? Because actually I've had a number of guys say, dude, what in the world is this brigade that you're talking about? So let me just give you a very brief back history. Number one, the brigade started out of Killzone 2. Right, a first-person shooter that came out, I don't know, probably about 3 years ago now, 2 or 3 years ago. And it, you know, the brigade was actually a clan that I created, and I just called it the brigade. From that point onward, every online game that I've played, I mean, I just kind of reference myself as the brigade. The brigade meaning not only myself, but the wide range of characters that I may have in a given game. Case in point, I have several builds, right, under the Martyrs Brigade profile. So with reference to Dark Souls PvP, when I say the brigade, I really mean the brigade of characters that I have, all under the same PSN name. Right, so that's the history for all of you guys that keep saying, dude, what in the world is the brigade, right? Can I enroll? Can I enlist? Right? Can I become a lieutenant in the brigade? So that's what it is. It's basically me and all my builds. Alright, so back to business. Now, one good thing about his build, now, you guys notice that when he notices that my vitality is low, he goes into running R1 Rapier mode. Now, I'm making it a point to point that out because we're going to notice a pattern with good old Enraged Wolf. That pattern will start to set up a situation wherein I start to attempt parries. Right, and this is one of the things that I've talked about in a number of videos when I kind of differentiate between the predicting parry and the blind parries, for which I hate blind parries. Mainly because it, in my personal opinion, it just kind of make you look kind of lost and noobish when you're just repeatedly hitting L2 like for no reason. You know, you're just hoping that a parry connects, for which that was a great prediction right there. But a lot of guys do that. You'll kind of notice, you know, not only in my vids, but, you know, other vids or perhaps in your own individual experiences. Now, you guys notice that? He did it again. So this is a pattern that we're noticing with good old Enraged Wolf. Once he notices that my vitality is low, he goes into running R1 mode. So from this point onward, you guys are going to notice that once he starts running toward me, when my vitality is low, I'm going to start throwing out parries. Now, this is one pattern that I have noticed. A lot of you guys, especially some of you newer ones, now for you experienced guys, this, you know, standard data, you guys know this already. But a lot of this information is directed at guys who either, number one, are new to PvP, or number two, just can't really get the parry method outside of the setup parry. Because, I mean, for the most part, setup parries are easy. Because it relies heavily on your opponent spamming the R1. Right, which you get a lot of, especially in some of these noob trolling areas, you know, the Darkwood Forest, sometime in the Kiln. So the setup parries are basically learning the timings and trying to parry on the second swing. Standard data. Right. But with regard to the blind parry, right, which I try my hardest to steer away from, and the predicting parry, for now, check him out, guys. Right, he's in running R1 Rapier mode because he has the red Tearstone fired up, and even though the Rapier is relatively weak, right, and I say relatively because I'm saying compared to some other weapons, once you hit, you know, red Tearstone mode, I mean, that thing can hit with as much damage to a claymore. So I really want to pay attention to his attacks. Now, like I was saying, it would perhaps benefit a lot of you guys to pay close attention to patterns. One pattern we've noticed so far is once, you know, he's in red Tearstone mode, or I have low vitality, he hits out with the Rapier. So I'm going to start trying with the parries. Now, I'm not saying I'll land them every time, right? Because there's conditions sometimes that we don't satisfy. Those conditions being, sometimes we parry too early, right? And we miss. Sometimes our parry times may be off. Perhaps we're parrying late. But that's something that you'll learn in time. The thing that's the most important is for you guys to try to pay attention to patterns. Once you start understanding and realizing patterns, you're that much closer to being better at predicting parries. So enough about that. Now, let's talk about this ridiculous red Tearstone. Now, this is a ring that I have never used, but I have noticed a lot of people using it, and this seems to be a pretty good ring, right? I mean, I've seen guys with next to no vitality crush an opponent and basically killing them in, like, you know, one BS or one parry, one riposte rather. So, you know, I think I might try to create a build that's dedicated to the red Tearstone ring, excuse me. Because, I mean, I've never made one. I've seen a lot of guys with their little handy-dandy red Tearstones, and perhaps I need to, you know, kind of experiment more with rings. Because for the most part, my ring combination is only, in 99% of the time, Havel's ring and the ring of favor protection. That was a good parry on his part. I thought he was going to miss it because if you notice, initially he wasn't in the right position. Right, so once he repositioned himself, he actually caught it, although I thought he was going to be a little late. Now I'm breaking out the good old hand axe. And the hand axe, in my personal opinion, you guys notice that? Running R1 mode. Running R1. So that's a pattern. So hopefully in one of these matches, I'll be able to land a successful parry. So we'll see. But another example of noticing. Now, before I start continuing with that rant, let's start talking about rapier tactics. Now, you have several type of rapier tactics. I would say 3. Right? You know, because there's some videos out there, you know, some YouTube videos, some of the ones that have, I'll say, more views than others. Mainly because these videos were uploaded when the game first came out. Right? So let's give some examples. There's a video out there where this guy, he's using a rapier. And basically all he does is two-handed and runs up to people and thrust. Now, I'm sure you guys know that as long as this game has been out, tactics like those don't work anymore. Mainly because there is a whole bunch of people who are good at parrying. That technique, you know, I wouldn't advocate that technique. Another technique, you have the defensive turtle. The defensive turtle is basically some guy, usually with a dark moon blade, you know, or some type of buff. And basically from the beginning to the end of the match, they just sit up here and hide behind their rapier, which, you know, it is a legitimate offensive strategy, but it is annoying, right? Because, you know, who wants to fight a turtle? I know I don't. You know, especially when you're starting off in the beginning of a match, because it's like, look, dude, I mean, I can kind of understand, you know, if you go to the third type of rapier user, but holy camole, the match just started. Why are you turtling already? And this also counts for some of the spear guys, you know. Now I understand, you know, you can hide behind your little shield, but I mean, get a life, dude. Use the spear. Stop being a turtle. So I hate turtles. But, you know, even though I hate it, that's the second type of rapier / spear user. Then you have the third type, which in my personal opinion is the most dangerous. Now, they still turtle, but the tactics are somewhat different. In most cases, you know, they kind of go full throttle. However, when you have low vitality, or when they have low vitality, then they bring out the turtle. So I would call it the low vitality turtle defensive mode. Right? And you'll notice this in a lot of cases. You'll get guys, especially when they have the red Tearstone fired up. You know, once it's fired up, you know, they just basically go in turtle mode because they know they're going to get some, you know, 1 or 2 pokes in eventually. And those 1 or 2 pokes, you know, even though the rapiers are relatively low damage inflicting, once the red Tearstone is fired up, I mean, 1 hit can inflict like 400 damage. The third type of rapier user, in my personal opinion, is the most dangerous, especially once you notice that they have the red Tearstone fired up. So, you know, all of these are legitimate. Some annoying, you know, some more annoying than others. But, I mean, that's just a part of the game. These tactics are legitimate, no matter how annoying they may be to some players. Alright, so it is what it is. Alright. Target destroyed. Hey, what's up, dude? Now, as I've said in the past, I really like his build. The main reason why I like his build is because, I mean, let's just be honest. How often do you really see someone using the Great Sword of Artorias at a relatively low level? Now, what exactly do I mean by relatively low? Well, what I mean is, in most cases, I see guys using the Great Sword of Artorias at some of the higher levels. Higher levels meaning above 150. And the reason why I would say that is because, I mean, the minimum requirements, really make for that weapon to not really be strong in some of the lower levels, kind of like 120. Because I think the minimum stats to be able to wield it are like 24, 18, 18, and 18. And at level 120, I mean, that's pretty difficult. So in a lot of the cases, you'll catch, some of the forest guys or some of the guys in the kiln using the Great Sword of Artorias, once they're plus 150 levels. Anywhere above level 150. But he's using it at, somewhere around 120 to 130 range. So I think that's a good thing. Right? Because this is a weapon that you rarely see. It has an awesome R2 attack. Even though it's slow and it can be parried, it is a 300, basically a 300, well actually, it's not really 360, but it really has the potential to be a 360 degree swiping attack. Which really can catch a whole bunch of people off guard, because I've noticed some guys, kind of watching the streams and they may be using a Great Sword of Artorias, and you're thinking to yourself, like, is this dude really going to attempt to R2? And they'll catch their opponent every time. Right? And it's kind of funny when you see it, because since it's so slow, you almost never expect it to connect. Alright, so he's a Great Sword of Artorias / Pyro build. One good thing I like about good old Enraged Wolf is he is not spamming the Great Combustion. One thing that I've noticed with a lot of these Pyro builds, especially when they're faced against a parry guy, the only Pyro that they use is the Great Combustion. And I hate guys like that. Right? Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Great Combustion. What I'm saying is, when that's the only pyro that you use, and you basically resort to spamming it, I mean, it's pretty annoying, right? Because, do you really have to spam Great Combustion? Are you really improving your skills as a pyromancer if you're never experimenting with throwing fireballs, experimenting with getting your timing and tactics right with regard to Fire Tempest and some of the other pyromancies? No, you're not. You're basically using that Great Combustion as a clerk, because I mean, anyone can kind of run up to somebody and hit the Great Combustion. I mean, that takes like zero skill. But what does take skill is getting proficient at using the fireballs. Right? And basically, some of these, guys who are faced against someone who's, not too bad at parrying, they basically use that Great Combustion as a deterrent. Now, although it is a legitimate strategy, it is another one that is yet annoying. Flat out, and actually that was a great parry right there. I really tried to catch him with it while he was running up to me, but I mean, he stopped just in time. So that's one good thing I like about good old Enraged Wolf. He is not spamming the Great Combustion. Now, he might hit it, 2 consecutive casts, but do I consider 2 consecutive casts spamming? No. He's not one of these guys who's just running up to you and Great Combustion, Great Combustion, Great Combustion. No, he's not doing that. He's spreading it out. He's diversifying his attack. You guys notice that? Keep doing that running R1 attack. He's diversifying his methods of engagement, which is a good thing. Well, I like running into guys like that, and he's also incorporated some of the fireballs, which is good. Because the art of throwing a fireball, in my personal opinion, really requires a lot of time and dedication. Case in point, you have, I'm pretty sure everybody who's listening to this vid knows who Dark Souls Mind's Eye is. And, a lot of people, he leave a lot of people in awe with regard to his abilities to throw pyro. And actually, he caught me slipping right there. I missed the first. Actually, he had 2 successful parries. Missed the first one, but he was able to take advantage of the second one. So that's good timing right there, because I slipped up twice. And he was able to exploit those mistakes. So good job with that. As I was saying, now if you guys have been following good old Dark Souls Mind's Eye channel almost from the beginning, well, I can't say from the beginning because he actually used to suck in the beginning. But you know, as time has moved on, I mean, he's basically evolved into like this super pyro guy. The point being, you know, most of us will suck at something that we are not familiar with in the beginning. But the more you stick with it, the more you dedicate time with it, you too can become awesome. That can be said of parries. That can be said of throwing fireballs. That also could be said of using ultra great swords, for which I've heard a lot of people say, you know, I know they have good potential, but they just suck. I get beat up all the time. Can't say this enough, guys. Dedicate more time to it. As a matter of fact, I have the intent to demonstrate what I mean by dedicating time. Now, what exactly am I talking about when I say that? Well, I'm going to be experimenting with the Lucerne. I'm going to try to dedicate a full week of only using the Lucerne, a weapon that you almost never see, because I think most people will agree that the Lucerne, that the Lucerne absolutely sucks. The R2 attack sucks. I mean, it kind of has some kind of hammer smash down type of attack, you know, and it sucks. But I also thought that the Black Knight Halberd sucked. You know, I also thought that the mace sucked. I also thought that the scythe sucked. Right? But if you guys have been watching my vids I'll say over a month, I've been using like halberds as, for the most part, my primary weapons. Only because, you know, after just giving it a chance and experimenting with time and time and time again, I've learned to get, I'll say, not too bad with the halberds. So I think this is what I need to do with the Lucerne to give it a chance. And this is what I mean with a lot of you other guys. Listen, I know everyone wants to win. I know everyone wants to be champs. I know it makes you feel good. I mean, when you're just KOing everybody in your path. But guess what? Experiment with weapons. Diversify your offensive strategies. Diversify your techniques. Become proficient in a wide range of weapon usage. Can't stress that enough. So yeah. So I hope you guys have been enjoying the series so far. I know I kind of get out of control with these long rants, but you know, as I've said before, my channel is not focused on, you know, PvP as far as demonstrating PvP. I focus on commentaries. Right, I know some of these hotshots. In my personal opinion, you have two classes of uploaders. Actually, I would say three classes. You have the uploaders that, you know, they feature a game because it's new and because it's hot and because they want a lot of subscribers and because they know that the new game, or, you know, a lot of people demonstrate interest. They say, well, hey, what a better way to get a lot of subscribers, therefore I'll do it. And then, you know, once it died down, I'm out of here to the next greatest thing is out. Okay, I'm not one of those. You have the other type of Dark Souls uploader that basically, you know, they are what I would call an entertainer. You know, they showcase their skills. No commentaries, no nothing. They just kind of showcase their abilities, or, you know, maybe do some funny videos. I myself, I like to commentate because I'm hoping that through my uploads and through listening to the commentaries that a lot of people are learning things with regard to the game. I'm passionate about it, as some of you guys may know, right? Because every Saturday you guys are going to get at least one or two 20 to 25 minute video running my mouth about my views and opinion of Dark Souls PvP, and I hope it's helped a lot of people. Right, so this is the last match. I like to give a thanks and appreciation to all of my subscribers. You guys are the best. You guys support me, give me more motivation to continue doing what I'm doing. And I just like to let all of you guys know that I really appreciate your help, support, comments, and opinions. Alright guys, well this is it. Hope you guys enjoyed the series. Martyrs Brigade is